Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call to order the Borough of Crafton reorganization meeting Monday, January 6th, 2020. We'll start with a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we've called Magistrate Jack Kavistik up, and the 4 new members of council, or 3 new members and an existing member: Edward Allo, Roy Neiman, Coletta Perry, and Anthony Saba. Magistrate Kavistik will be sworn into office. No, just oath of office.
Yeah, this is the residency.
Oh, I'm sorry. You remember it?
I do remember, I can go also.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's go, but they still have to sign it and I have to stamp it, so.
Right.
Okay. Everybody raise your right hand. And when I say state your name, just state your own name. I state your name.
I, Edward Allo,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold
that I will uphold
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge my duties
and that I will discharge my duties
with honor and fidelity.
with honor and fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Still need to get a signed copy because they need to.
Okay.
You know what, I can see if I can print one down in my office and bring it back.
And council members, you can take a seat. President Chair. All right. And we do roll call. Mr. Allen.
Present.
Mr. Amendola.
Here.
Mr. Kraus.
Here.
Mr. Lavasser.
Here.
Mr. Neiman.
Here.
Ms. Perry.
Here.
And Mr. Sala. Here. Okay, before moving on to the election of council president, I'll make a short announcement. The agenda that you have is just slightly wrong, that I will be chairing the meeting until after the election of the vice president of council. So I will be doing the president of council and the vice president of council, and then I will turn the gavel over to the new president. Okay, at this time, I'm going to open the floor for nominations to the office of president of council.
I nominate Coletta Perry.
I nominate Philip Lavasser.
We have a nomination for Coletta Perry, and we have a nomination for Phil Lavasser. Are there any other nominations for the office of president of council? Are there any other nominations for the president of council? This time I'm going to close the floor to the nomination for vice president of council. What we'll do is we'll take a roll call vote. We'll start with the first name that was brought up, which was Ms. Perry, and we'll vote from there. Mr. Allo.
Nay.
Mr. Amendola.
Yes.
Mr. Kraus.
No.
Mr. Lavasser.
No.
Mr. Neiman.
No.
Ms. Perry.
Yes.
And Mr. Saba.
No.
Okay? Okay, now we will have a roll call vote for President Counsel for Mr. Lavasser. Mr. Allo,
Yes.
Mr. Amendola,
No.
Mr. Kraus,
Yes.
Mr. Lavasser,
Yes.
Mr. Neiman,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
No.
and Mr. Saba.
Yes.
Okay? At this point, Mr. Lavasser's been elected to the position of President of Council. This time, I'd like to open the floor for nominations for the position of Vice President of Council.
I nominate Ms. Coletta Perry.
Ms. Perry's been nominated. I open the floor for nominations for Vice President of Council.
I nominate Edward Halo.
You nominate Mr. Alo?
Yeah.
Alo. Pardon?
Alo.
Alo. Alo. Okay, Mr. Alo, any more nominations for the Vice President of Council? Any more nominations for the Vice President of Council? This time I will close the floor for nominations for the Vice President of Council. Okay, as before, we're going to take the roll call vote as the people were put on the floor for nomination. This is for Ms. Perry, the nomination for Ms. Perry to be voted on. Roll call. Mr. Alo,
No.
Mr. Amendola,
Yes.
Mr. Kraus,
No.
Mr. Lavasser,
No.
Mr. Neiman,
No.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
and Mr. Saba.
No.
Okay, we will now take a vote for Mr. Alo, for
Alo.
Alo, okay, for the position of Vice President of Council. Okay, Mr. Alo,
Yes.
Mr. Amendola,
No.
Mr. Kraus,
Yes.
Mr. Lavasser,
Yes.
Mr. Neiman,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
No.
Mr. Saba.
Yes.
Okay? Mr. Alo is Vice President of Council. This time I'll turn the gavel over to Mr. Lavasser for the remainder of the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah. Moving forward, we'd like to entertain the floor for nominations to the position of President Pro Tem.
I nominate Mr. Kraus.
I nominate Ms. Perry.
Do we hear any other nominations? Hearing none. Move forward with a roll call vote for Mr. Kraus. Mr. Amendola?
Am I first? I thought Mr. Alo
Sorry.
was
I'm
first.
sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Alo?
For Mr. Kraus, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Mr. Amendola?
No.
Mr. Kraus?
Yes.
I'm gonna skip me. Mr. Neiman?
Yes.
Ms. Berry?
No.
Mr. Saba?
Yes.
And I'll vote for myself, yes for, yes, okay,
For Mr. Kraus?
yes. All right. Moving forward with the
You
vote.
don't need to do that,
Okay,
because you got,
okay,
Yep, we have a majority.
all right, okay. All righty. All right, moving on to nominations for the vacancy board.
I'd like to nominate Ms. Emily Babiak.
I'll nominate Eric Valchek.
All right,
I'll nominate Dave O'Brien.
okay. Just give us a moment.
Sorry, can you repeat that, Emily?
Babiak. B-A-B-Y-A-K.
Okay. Moving forward with a vote for Ms. Babiak, Mr. Alo,
Yes.
Mr. Amendola,
No.
Mr. Kraus,
Yes.
Mr. Vassar, yes. Mr. Neiman,
Yes.
Mrs. Perry,
No.
Mr. Saba.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we good?
Yep.
Okay. All right, now moving forward to citizens' comments regarding agenda items only. May I have a snap sheet? All right. Is that on the agenda? No. Borough manager. Borough manager. It's on the agenda. Ms. Mimi Schmidt. Just write your name.
I'm
Name
sorry?
and address, please.
My given name is Marie Schmidt, everyone calls me Mimi, and I'm at 238 South Grandview in Crafton.
Thank you.
The thing that I'd like to address today is why we are not renewing RJ's contract. From everything that I've seen in the 20 years that I've lived in Crafton, she's one of the best things that's ever happened to Crafton, and I don't understand what the reasoning is behind her contract not being renewed. She's helped me, she's helped a ton of people, she's got grants, I don't know what else to say other than she's awesome, and it makes absolutely no sense. I started a petition on change.org, numerous people were commenting on the Facebook pages, so I've got a lot of support for her. So I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about that.
All right, thank you. All right. Seeing no other citizen comments, we'll move forward with the business agenda. Pardon me, actually, the rest of the schedule here, so make sure I'm reading this correctly. Yeah. Meeting schedule, first item of business
Person's comments.
is, pardon?
Was she asking for a reply?
I kind of was looking for a
Yeah, I mean,
reply.
she's looking for you to answer the question.
I asked a question, usually when you have a question, there's an answer,
There you go.
or some sort of response.
There you go.
Thank you. We're gonna move forward with discussion.
They don't have a response. They fired her for no reason.
So, we're gonna move forward,
That's the
This is
response.
the citizen's
Thank
we're gonna
comment.
move forward with the meeting schedule. So we have a motion to designate Crafton Borough Municipal Building Council Chambers Community Center on 140 Bradford as location for the Borough Council meetings and establishing the time of each meeting for the first and third Thursdays of each month convening at 7:15 PM. Do I?
Are you looking for a motion?
Yes.
I'll second the motion.
All right. Now that we have a second, we can have some discussion. As proposed, does that schedule work? There's one thing that Ms. Perry brought to my attention over the holiday, and that was, we're going to have to nominate a delegate that is gonna have the flexibility to go to the meetings on that third Thursday of every month because of the Council of Governments meeting. That delegate, or alternate, doesn't have to be a member of council. I spoke with Mr. Kazarowski, and Mr. Kazarowski said that he would be willing to assist when a member of council isn't able to attend. So I think it would be good for a few of us throughout the year to attend, but Mr. Kazarowski says he's more than willing to assist.
The only thing I have to say to this is that there is an email we received from Chrisma today in which she did mention that the COG meetings, the issues addressed, as well as the fact that there is a group that pays to use the community room on Thursdays between September and April from 6 to 8, which would pretty much line up with our meetings, and that we may want to consider the noise pollution as a factor in any decision that we make. So I would be in favor of keeping the meetings on this current schedule that they're on Monday, simply for that reason. I've been in this room a few times for ancillary events, planning commission meetings and the like, and if there's a event happening here, it can be very loud. So that's all I have to say on the subject.
Thank you. Do I hear any other comments?
I
Ms. Barry?
have, when we discussed this before, I said that I'm willing to accommodate what the majority wants. At this point, given both the COG and the other information, I would suggest that we leave them on the Mondays at this point, and then maybe have more of a discussion and more of a 360 view if we want to move them to another day and time and advertise that if and when we decide to change the meeting.
Okay. A follow-up point I'd like to make is I think a lot of the community, whether they check the schedule or not, have kind of, it's in the consciousness here that we do have them every other Monday, so I think that broke the ice. So I think a lot of people would probably be not informed as to when our meetings are as a result of the change, since, like I said, a lot of people assume it's on Monday anyway.
All right, do I hear any other comments?
In regards to if we keep it on Monday nights, moving it to the first and third, would that present any other conflicts?
I think we'd have to confirm with the solicitor's office to make sure that we have availability. But from what I understand, either way, in the past, they would be able to field solicitor's seat.
That's true. I need to check with Steve to make sure that he's available on the first and third Mondays, but somebody from our office would be here regardless.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the floor. We can vote on that, and we can, if there's other options, we can make a motion again to come up with a different day and time, and we can.
Point of inquiry, the motion that we're talking about, is it just to designate the council chambers, or are we talking about everything, date and time as well?
Just the date.
Okay.
The dates. So right now, what's proposed is the first Thursdays and the third Thursdays of each month, aligned with some of the neighboring communities, and I know we receive a lot of feedback from the community about Mondays being difficult throughout the school year. So I think we just need to have an open discussion about that. So my question to the solicitor is, should we entertain that discussion right now, or should we vote and then have a discussion?
You should probably entertain that discussion right now from an advertising perspective, just because it is
Yeah.
expensive to advertise.
No, I'm just saying right now, since we have this open motion to amend. So do we have any ideas just to, so am I hearing that we want to retain the Mondays for the time being?
I'll move to amend to keep the, what is it, the first and third?
The second and fourth?
Second
is
and
what I-
fourth Mondays of each month.
Okay. Alrighty.
I made a motion to amend it, so
No, we have a motion on the table, so we need to call a motion on the table for.
actually,
Yeah,
there's a motion to amend, so the motion to amend gets voted on prior to the motion on the table. Because it's the new motion.
If I remember correctly, the person who made the second of the original has to agree to the amendment.
I agree. Yeah, so you actually, didn't you second?
No, I made the motion.
Oh,
Right.
okay. So, Mr. Kraus, do you second?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So with the amendment for the second and fourth Mondays of every month. I'm moving forward with a roll call vote. Mr. Alo,
Yes.
Mr. Amendola,
Yes.
Mr. Kraus.
Yes.
Yes, for myself. Mr. Neiman,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Saba.
Yes.
Alrighty. Alright, next item. Moving on to appointments. Motion to ratify the settlement agreement for RJ Susko.
Seconded.
I didn't hear who made the motion.
I motion.
I'll second.
Alright. Any discussion? Ms. Perry?
I'd like to read a statement. Let the record show that I do not support the decision to dismiss RJ. I believe it to be short-sighted and ill-considered, and that it is to the detriment of this community, the smooth running of the borough, and most especially our forward momentum in parallel to our Thrive document. No effort has been put forth to define the reasons for the dismissal beyond we don't like her attitude. The idea of a trial or probationary period whereby areas that the new council would like to see changed or improved would be clearly defined and opportunity given to address them was dismissed without due consideration. No good faith attempt has been made to do a professional 360 evaluation that would have included.
Mrs. Perry, we'd like, if you'd like to continue, we'd have to go into executive session per the solicitor.
It's a pending, it'll be a pending personnel matter, and that's a matter that we should discuss or that the council should discuss in executive session.
You've already
The
decided.
people out here, they want to know what's going on
I
here.
am not
This is a railroading
discussing,
thing,
excuse me.
and the people in the
Solicitor,
community want to know what's
Fred,
going
I
on.
have the floor right now. I am not saying anything in here that has anything to do with the conditions of the settlement. I am basically putting it on record that this council has decided without any consideration to not renew her contract, and my concluding statement was going to be that that is what is allowed by the Borough Council. And I do not see anything in anything that I'm saying that has to be an executive session.
It's a pending personnel matter. That's something that should really be discussed in executive session, especially when you're talking about why she was dismissed. I would recommend an executive session.
Then I will just cede the floor. I've made my point that I don't support this.
Thank you.
Thank you
Ms.
for
Perry.
that. And how is it pending? You've already decided. All right, what's pending?
All right, do I hear
It's
any
done.
other comment from council?
Yeah, I ditto everything that Coletta said. You know, there's no solid reason why her contract was not renewed, other than, you know, the five of you getting together and deciding you're gonna throw your weight around.
Thank you, Mr. Amendola.
I would like to make a comment on
Yes.
something. I agree with Mr. Amendola and Ms. Perry. I think RJ was doing a tremendous job. This council should have been able to work with her for a while to determine if they wanted to keep her on. You have 3 new members of council that's voting to dismiss the borough manager, and they haven't even worked with her. It's ridiculous. That's all.
Totally.
Any other comments from council?
Yeah, she did bring more grants into this community than this borough's got in the past 25 years altogether. She did that in 18 months. She was a good manager, and you guys are making a big mistake.
Huge.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Amendola. All right, moving on to a roll call vote. Mr. Alo.
This is to approve or ratify the settlement, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Mr. Amendola.
No,
Mr. Kraus.
Yes.
Mr. Lavasser, yes. Mr. Neiman.
Yes.
Ms. Perry.
No.
Mr. Saba.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion passes. Motion to appoint Russ McKibben as the interim borough manager.
So moved.
Seconded.
Are you kidding me?
Any discussion? All right.
We still have a
So-
reason as to why she was let go.
They're
Given-
egos. They're
given-
egos.
Given that we have not renewed RJ's contract,
Mhm.
it is imperative that this borough have an interim manager,
Mhm.
given our experience of the previous time where we tried to stretch our public works director
Correct.
beyond, and that it is, I believe that we have found a gentleman who has the experience and that will step into this very difficult situation.
Thank you.
And I agree with Ms. Perry, and I want to thank the previous council for helping with identifying an interim manager to make this transition as smooth as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Saba. Anybody else? All right, hearing no further comment, I'd like to move to a roll call vote for Mr. McKibben. Mr. Saba,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes,
Mr. Neiman,
Yes.
Mr. Lavasser, yes. Mr. Kraus,
Yes.
Mr. Amendola,
Yes.
Mr. Aiello.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes.
would you like to?
Yes. Mr. McKibben, if you could please meet the community and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Russ McKibben. I understand there's a lot of issues involving the previous manager. I'm not here to get involved with any of that. I'm here to do the best I can for the borough of Crafton. I have over...
Just watch your backs because,
I want to thank Counsel for the opportunity. I'll do the best I can. That's all I can promise. And I look forward to meeting with you all individually at some point in the next week or two, right after I found out where the bathrooms are at.
Thank you, sir. A motion to appoint Babs Callan as the borough solicitor.
So,
Russ,
Wait,
you tell you to take a seat up there.
all right.
The manager sits
Tim,
up
would you
there.
like to come up?
Sure.
Rob just wants to get out of
I
that
just
chair.
said,
Last meeting. I know that's right.
Do I hear any comment from council about the motion on the floor? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Motion to appoint Gateway Engineers as the borough engineer.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion to appoint PNC Bank as the official depository bank for all borough accounts.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. PNC doesn't do a lot for us, other than do our banking. Doesn't volunteer, or doesn't donate funds to everything we do. Basically, they don't get involved with the community. And speculating, or not speculating, just wondering, do we have to bank with them? Or can we consider other alternatives?
I think in the future, we can always explore those options, and maybe we can even have a discussion with PNC Bank to explore what opportunities there are for their philanthropy in our community. But at this point, I think it's best that we proceed with PNC.
Okay.
Any other comments?
I would concur with the president.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Motion to appoint Gazette 2.0 and/or the Pittsburgh Post Gazette as the official paper for the borough advertisements.
Somewhat.
Second.
Any discussion? I'd like to make a comment on this. Let's just hope that our local newspapers here keep the lights on and keep a paper circulating. We don't have any other paper options at this rate. So I think it's important that everybody understand the importance of these two businesses in the community. And under Borough Code, we have to advertise.
In the paper and not digitally, so
Right.
law hasn't caught up with that yet, and those are two of the only publications left.
Right. So just want to make that abundantly clear to the public. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion to appoint Crafton Volunteer Fire Department as the Borough Fire Department.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Motion to appoint Michael J. Crown as the Fire Chief for the Borough of Crafton.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Motion to appoint Mark Sumter as Emergency Management Coordinator.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Motion to appoint Andrew Rearmore as Borough Fire Marshal and Dave Morgan as the Assistant Borough Fire Marshal.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Motion to appoint Annette Lieber as the Borough Treasurer.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. All right, moving forward to business, new business. Under administration, motion to ratify the bill list dated December 31st, 2019 as presented.
So, second.
All right, thank you. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Motion to approve the bill list dated January 6th, 2020 as presented.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Motion to approve the meeting minutes dated December 9th, 2019 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, discussion?
I did have one question. Whenever I looked over them, I know we had that meeting separated into two portions. One being specifically designated with respect to the intergovernmental agreement. I only saw the first portion, but I happened to oversee the second portion of the minutes. I think we have.
Yeah.
They'll be ready for the next meeting.
Next
I just didn't have time to get them done with everything at the end of the year.
Okay, all right.
I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't losing my mind. Thank you.
All right, so we'll take care of that at the next meeting. All right. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right.
We're not signing.
Okay.
All right, now, I'm sorry, now.
We just did the meeting minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Now to Public Works. All right, motion to approve pay application number 1 for the Shaycog Joint Pipelining Project, year 12, contract fee to Shaycog, an amount of $43,312.35 as recommended by the Borough Engineer. This is the final payment for this project.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. All right, moving on to citizen comments. Oh, are we really to that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Additional citizen comments. Is there anybody signed up? Yes, there is. Mr. Gordon Smith to discuss street lighting.
Good evening. My name is Gordon Smith. I live at 95 Broadhead Avenue.
Thank you.
The reason for my visit tonight, well, first of all, let me congratulate our new council members. Hopefully, the meetings will move on better than they were tonight, to be honest with you. Before I say something about the street light, let me just say something. It's been a number of years since I sat here. And I can tell you one thing, when people come and they have questions, they want answers. And to sit here and basically ignore them and move on with the meeting is not the way to run a meeting or a borough. So I just wanted to say that. The real reason for my visit is the street lights down on Broadhead Avenue. This is the third year I've been here. And I don't know what it takes to get a street light fixed anymore. For 4 years when I sat on council, it took 3 days to get a street light fixed by Duquesne Light. And for whatever reason, we don't have the ability to get that done again. The street light at the bottom of Rebecca and Broadhead has not functioned properly in 3 years. It was off again tonight. It came on just as I was leaving. The street light midway up Rebecca behind the auto body and the, I guess it's the laundromat, is going off and on too. Now, when those lights are on, it's like a cave down there. It's terrible. And two of the members live on Broadhead now. You're gonna see that on a regular basis. And it is pitch black down. And we're obligated to report something going on to our police department. You have to be able to see it. And for 3 years, this light hasn't been fixed. Now, I don't know what it takes. How many trips do you have to make to this place? I've been told repeatedly it was going to be handled. I talked to our chief of police 2 years ago. He was going to follow up on it. I've been to that borough office 4 or 5 times. They were going to follow up on it. And this is the 3rd time I've been to council. Does it take any more than this? Can I hear an answer tonight? Is it going to be followed up and repaired?
Yes, we will reach out to Duquesne Light. We will continue to press them. One of the items of business is to pursue Duquesne Light's energy efficiency programs and start changing out the light heads. I know Mr. Kazarowski and I last year and the year before have been putting a lot of pressure on Duquesne Light. So, you know, number one, they need to come out. They're obligated under contract, and at this rate, basically, we may have to send a letter from the solicitor's office to help facilitate. I hope that it doesn't have to come to that. They have done work elsewhere in the borough, so we're just going to have to, you know, push them very hard over the next few weeks to make sure that this gets addressed.
Just a little follow-up to that. At the top of Broadhead, there are a number of tree limbs laying on those wires. And at some point, they're going to come down. If they do, they're going to pull those lines down like a domino, all the way down. Now, I realize the electric lines go across, and there was a tree cutting service out there, and I think they were for Duquesne Light. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
They came all the way up and then crisscrossed and didn't do any of them. And they told me the electric line, you know, obviously, but you got all the cables up there. If those cable lines come down, those telephone poles are going to come down. And I'm talking about halfway down that street once they start. You know, I don't want to be sitting there with all my food gone, no electricity, no furnace, as do the other people on Broadhead Avenue.
Right. So, and just to address that, if you look at the budget, if some of these are shade trees, they're going to be addressed. We're going to be very aggressive moving forward with
By our own guys.
By our own guys, or we're most likely going to sub out a lot of the work because there's just an immense amount of backlog of shade tree work that has to be addressed in the borough. However, with regards to the roles and responsibilities, if some of these trees are in right-of-ways that are not owned by the borough, and it is the responsibility of the power company or the Verizon, we will have to reach out to them and you know, address the situation with the supervisor.
Our guys in 15, 20 minutes could take some of those limbs off those lines. I could do it myself,
Yeah.
and I'm 71.
Yep.
So I would imagine these guys could do it. He could do
Some
it.
of these issues are just when it comes to right-of-ways across some of the private property. So
Yeah, I'm
again,
well
with our-
aware, but Broadhead Avenue is 40 feet wide.
Yeah.
You know, it's the borough's responsibility.
Yes. So
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Seeing no additional citizen comments on the sign-in sheet, I'm going to move to adjourn the meeting. Yeah, may I entertain a motion to
I'll make that
adjourn?
motion.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.